An HOA in Silver Pines tried to bankrupt engineer Mike Donovan just for owning an electric car. Led by board president Brad Culver, they issued illegal fines and even attempted to tow his vehicle. But Mike found a brilliant loophole, installing a rooftop wind turbine to power his car for free. And just wait until you see how this battle for justice turned the entire community upside down. When Mike Donovan finally brought home his new electric car, a sleek Ford Mustang Mach-E, he wasn't trying to start a fight with anyone. He'd been eyeing electric cars for a while. Between the rising gas prices, the long daily commute, and the fact that both his kids were starting soccer and piano lessons, Mike was just looking for something reliable, something modern, something that fit his values and would save the family budget in the long run. The Mustang was a dream come true. Quiet, fast, practical. Even his wife, Laura, who'd always sworn she loved the old minivan, was already sneaking in extra drives. Mike parked it proudly in their driveway, right outside the modest two-story home they'd bought in Silver Pines, a gated community known for its good schools, clean streets, and family-friendly vibe. A week went by without a hitch. Neighbors waved as they passed by. A few even stopped to ask questions about the car. Mike thought nothing of it, until the envelope arrived. It was a thick white letter from the Silver Pines Homeowners Association, stamped urgent across the top. Mike opened it standing in his driveway, keys still in hand. The words on the page stopped him cold. Electric vehicles violate Silver Pines' visual harmony code. Remove immediately or face escalating fines of $200/day. Mike blinked, reading it again. No warning, no friendly nudge, just an outright ban. His first instinct was disbelief. He looked around. Right across the street sat Jerry's lifted diesel truck with oversized tires and a bright orange wrap. 2 doors down, Sue's golf cart was covered in floral decals and parked half on her lawn. And the rusted RV that barely ran? It had been in old Mr. Kramer's driveway since Mike moved in 2 years ago. But somehow, his modern, silent, perfectly clean electric car was suddenly a threat to visual harmony. Trying to make sense of it, Mike attended the next HOA board meeting in person. There, sitting at the head of the table in a crisp polo shirt, was Brad Culver, the board president. Known for his sharp tongue and love of HOA power plays, Brad wasted no time making his position clear. Silver Pines wasn't built for green experiments, Brad said, voice loud enough for everyone to hear. We have traditions here. If you don't like it, move. The room was tense. No one spoke up. After the meeting, Mike overheard whispers in the parking lot. Brad's brother owns a gas station. Always hated the EV crowd. You think this is about harmony? It's personal. Driving home that night, Mike gripped the wheel tighter than usual. He hadn't moved to Silver Pines for this. He'd moved for the schools, the safe streets, the sense of community. He had no interest in neighborhood politics or culture wars. But now, he was backed into a corner, and a cornered engineer was a dangerous thing. The fight was coming. At first, Mike tried to play by the rules. He wasn't looking for a fight. He genuinely believed that once the board saw reason, they'd back down. He drafted a formal appeal, carefully citing state and federal guidelines on electric vehicle ownership and property rights. He included photos of other, far more conspicuous vehicles in the neighborhood. He even offered to move the car to the garage if that would help. The board didn't respond, not even a courtesy email. Undeterred, Mike submitted a second challenge, this time through an attorney friend who specialized in property law. Again, silence. Then the harassment began. It started small. Mike noticed an unfamiliar white SUV parked across from his house late at night. Its occupants aimed cameras at his driveway. Soon, HOA enforcers, a couple of board-appointed volunteers, were photographing his car at all hours, early morning, lunchtime, midnight. They claimed it was documentation. Then, the fines doubled overnight, from $200 a day to $400 a day. Mike read the new violation notice in disbelief. There was no hearing, no explanation, just a cold, stamped letter. At the next board meeting, word leaked out about a private comment Brad Culver had made behind closed doors. We'll bankrupt the hippie. Mike wasn't a hippie. He was a senior engineer at a local aerospace firm, but now it was personal. At home, Laura was furious. "This is harassment," she said. "We bought this car to save money, not to bleed it out in fines." Their two kids adored the Mustang. It had become the family car for soccer practice and weekend trips. But as fines mounted, Mike had to make a hard call, cut other expenses just to cover HOA penalties. And then came the towing attempt. One crisp Saturday morning, Mike woke to the sound of a tow truck backing into the driveway. An HOA enforcer stood nearby, clipboard in hand. Mike sprinted outside. "You have no legal right to tow my car," he told them, standing between the truck and the Mustang. The driver hesitated. Mike held up his police report, filed just days earlier, documenting the HOA's threats and stating that any towing without a proper court order would be treated as theft. The truck backed off, but the message was clear. Brad wasn't done. Mike's hatred simmered, no longer just at Brad, but at the entire abuse of power. But he wasn't reckless. He was methodical, an engineer. He would fight smart. One evening, while working in his home office, another HOA letter arrived. This one threatened to ban charging stations, even private ones installed on individual property. Mike stared at the paper for a long time. "If they don't want me charging my car here," he finally said, voice low, controlled, "then we'll generate our own power." Laura looked at him. "What do you mean?" A slow smile spread across Mike's face. "I mean, they just gave me the loophole I needed." The fight had just escalated, and Mike was ready. Mike Donovan had spent most of his career solving difficult problems. He wasn't about to let a petty HOA board beat him with bureaucracy. If they wanted a fight, he'd give them one, on his terms. Mike spent the next several evenings poring over the Silver Pines HOA bylaws. Page after page of restrictions on colors, mailboxes, fencing, and yes, electric vehicle chargers. But one glaring omission stood out. No mention of personal wind turbines, not on rooftops, not in yards, not anywhere, an oversight, a loophole, and one Mike planned to use. He began quietly contacting licensed renewable energy contractors, choosing a firm with experience navigating both county building codes and state green energy laws. "I need a rooftop unit," he told them, "under 35 feet, silent, legal, and fast." Within weeks, the contractor returned with finalized plans. The system would use a vertical axis wind turbine, compact enough to sit on Mike's reinforced roof, fully capable of generating the power needed for his home, and most importantly, for the Mustang's charger. The county approved the project without hesitation. Under state law, rooftop green energy installations under a certain height did not require HOA approval. Mike double-checked every detail. The turbine was certified under the state's Green Energy Encouragement Act. HOA could not override the county's approval. Brad and his board would have no legal footing. Installation day arrived on a bright, breezy morning. As the crew secured the final bolts, neighbors gathered to watch. The turbine rose gracefully, a sleek column with curved blades designed to capture wind from any direction. Silent, modern, board-proof. Word spread quickly. By afternoon, an HOA enforcer arrived, clipboard in hand. Behind him came Brad Culver, visibly agitated. Mike met them at the curb, holding a folder of county-stamped documents. "You banned charging stations," Mike said evenly. "Didn't say a word about wind." Brad's face flushed. "This is a violation. You'll be fined." Mike calmly handed him the papers. "I think you'll find otherwise." Brad skimmed the first page. His eyes narrowed as he read the state pre-certification. His voice rose. "We'll take this to court." Mike stood firm. "You're welcome to try, but I'd suggest reading the state law first. The county's already on record. This is legal." Later that afternoon, a county official returned Mike's call to confirm the HOA had no grounds to block the turbine. Mike smiled as the first full charge from his own wind power flowed into the Mustang. The battle had forged something brilliant. He was now powering his EV with free, independent, legally untouchable energy. and there wasn't a thing Brad could do about it. But the story didn't end with the turbine spinning quietly above Mike Donovan's house. Word of the showdown between one engineer and the Silver Pines HOA soon spread beyond the neighborhood. A local reporter caught wind of it, literally. The headline read, "Engineer defies HOA, powers EV with rooftop wind." The story struck a chord. Within days, the segment went viral. Local news gave way to regional, then national coverage. Online forums lit up with praise. Finally, someone standing up to HOA nonsense. That's how you fight back, smart and legal. I want a turbine like that on my roof. Silver Pines, once known for quiet streets and uniform landscaping, became an unexpected national punchline. Late-night hosts even joked about it. Apparently in Silver Pines, a Mustang is an eyesore, but a giant spinning wind turbine? Totally fine. But something deeper began to shift. Inspired by Mike's stand, other residents started exploring green energy options. Solar panels appeared on rooftops. Battery banks began humming in garages. A few brave homeowners even installed small turbines of their own. The HOA board, once feared and unchallenged, faced an internal uproar. Members who had quietly supported Brad's heavy-handed tactics were now facing angry emails, packed meetings, and calls for accountability. Several board members resigned in shame. Brad tried to hold on, calling emergency meetings and threatening new restrictions, but the damage was done, and worse was coming. He said, Mike's attorney had quietly filed complaints with the county oversight board, citing harassment, selective enforcement, and illegal fines. The county took them seriously. Within weeks, a formal investigation was opened into the HOA's actions. Brad's attempts to deflect fell flat. Emails surfaced, some leaked to the press, showing his intent to bankrupt Mike and statements clearly targeting electric vehicle owners. Finally, in a small but packed county courtroom, a judge ruled decisively. All fines against Mike were reversed. The HOA was ordered to pay Mike's legal fees in full. The board received a formal warning on future enforcement actions. Mike didn't gloat. He didn't have to. One crisp morning, he stood on his front porch, coffee in hand, watching as the turbine blades spun lazily in the autumn breeze. In the driveway below, his Mustang gleamed, fully charged, fully legal, and finally free of HOA interference. Neighbors waved and smiled. A few stopped to thank him for standing up when others were afraid. The message was clear, one the entire neighborhood now understood. You don't bully an engineer, and you don't stop the wind.